Welcome to Breakthrough, the podcast supported by the Arts Council, helping change the music industry, one episode at a time. Luke Griffiths is the lead singer of trailblazing band False Heads. Hailing from the outskirts of East London and the Essex border, False Heads rose out of the ashes of previous bands before. Behind the energy of their live shows, the trio quickly thrust themselves into the limelight, getting the recognition of people like Danny Fields, the former manager of the Ramones, and Iggy Pop, to name just a couple. Quickly graduating from their first shows to supporting the Libertines on tour, they are becoming a real force to be reckoned with and going from strength to strength. So let's get into it. Luke, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing lately? What's been happening?
Yeah, all good. Been recording our third album, waiting for the mixes. So yeah, no, all good stuff, all good stuff.
And the False Heads journey, your journey through this band has been incredible, or like the last 9-10 years, like a decade or so, roughly coming up to that. I'm generally excited to have you here today because your journey, for people that might be listening that are bands, aspiring bands, fans of music, fans of your music, generally the DIY punk scene, that kind of thing, has been an incredible one. But we start every podcast with this question. What would you say like has been, maybe this personally or the band's breakthrough up to this point right now, and whether that be something that is, I don't know, just popped straight into your head, or whether it's something a bit more deeper back a few years ago? What's been the breakthrough?
Probably putting Rabbit Hole out, I suppose. Just because I think that was the first time I felt like we had a song that everyone in that kind of scene knew. Like when we did that tour, there were people that were like at the bar being like, "Oh, I knew we were playing that song. I didn't know that was by you guys." So I think it's probably Rabbit Hole. I think that was the first time we kind of got a quite a big leg up. Do you know what I mean? Which was kind of surprising because I didn't. It was a bit of a weird one even put out of it to a single at the time. But so probably Rabbit Hole, I think.
And it went over like 1 million streams, didn't it? It was.
Yeah. I think it's nearly on huge. 2 on Spotify. It's probably on maybe 5 or 6 million streams across all the platforms now. Yeah, Rabbit Hole was that. It was a weird one. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a band where I guess you kind of use the phrase throwing the kitchen sink at it. Like it's high octane, nothing's left on the table. So getting into music, what maybe for you as you're here today, kind of speaking on False Heads part as well, what pulled you in this direction? Why did you want to make this kind of music that was very loud out there, and you know there's no qualms about what you were singing about?
Probably I mean I've always sort of like had like slight maybe anger issues and like dealt with like mental health problems, which is something that sort of runs in my family, and I just think I found it very therapeutic to. I think someone once described it was like Nirvana if they were angry, not sad. I mean, I do get sad as well, but I think so. Yeah, some of that. I think it was a way of just channeling a lot of things that troubled me a lot, especially as a teenager when I first started writing songs. And I think my journey to kind of rock and punk music was like when I was probably 10 or 11. I loved Eminem, and he was obviously quite an angry man. Yeah. And then I got into my auntie gave me Nevermind, and then it was sort of channeled that way. Wow. Yeah. So those kind of my musical journey, and also probably what I was like feeling as well as a teenager, I suppose. Yeah,
the rest is history, as they say. And so then, I don't know, when you're maybe making the first demos, first time you pick up a guitar, like, are you scared to go like literally all the way to that end of the scale of like being really heavy, or did you like progressively work towards it?
I just kind of started. I mean, I can't swear, I assume, can I?
Oh, do what you want.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, so I mean, I just sort of, I don't know how I ever fucking had the like, I couldn't sing, I couldn't play guitar, and arguably still can't. But I just fucking was like, oh, that's what I want to do. I bought a really cheap guitar from Amazon that was like 50 quid. It was like called a Johnny Brook or something.
Was it electro or just
It was acoustic? Electric, yeah, it was electric. Taught myself how to play using like little YouTube videos and stuff. And then just turned the distortion up as loud as possible and just started writing loads of riffs. So yeah, it wasn't a conscious thing, but I just was like, oh, well, I don't want to spend loads of time learning songs.
Yeah.
I probably started writing riffs, which I'm not saying is a good way of doing it, because there's some stuff I don't think was a
See
great
the
way
light
of
of
doing it,
day.
especially when, no, definitely not. But I just once I learned power chords and chords, probably within 3 months I started writing riffs.
Wow. That's
honestly.
quick.
But yeah, but they were shit.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the only one that ever lasted, which is true, was 20 Nothing. Mm-hmm. So I wrote
one of my favourites.
I wrote the riff to 20 Nothing, not the whole song.
Yeah.
Probably when I was about 16. One of the first riffs I ever wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you went on, and obviously like the catalogue of False Heads, and I guess of course is your brainchild. It's come out. You're leading the way, I guess, in False Heads with the ideas, right?
Yeah, a benevolent dictator, I suppose. Yeah.
Collaborative, is it?
We are collaborative. I mean, it's my kind of main vision and stuff, but it's definitely a collaborative process. I mean, me and Jake are best friends. Obviously, Charlie's just joined. Charlie's been very collaborative on the record that we've just pretty much finished, just waiting for the last mixes. So, no, because I like that process. Obviously sometimes if I'm like, no, this fucking stays. But I like having people to bounce ideas off. It's not, I don't think it's the worst in the world if you're unsure about something, to have people that you trust in the band to help you out with that. I think that's a good way of doing it. So
fast forward to, that first like innate passion you had individually to then being part of a band. Did you want to seek the idea of, putting one together like straight away, or was it kind of like, I wanted to I'll go my own lane first and see where it takes me?
Well, kind of. No, I wanted a band, but truth be told, False Heads was kind of just me, because there was so many. I was just writing demos, putting them out, and I was trying to get people to play. Yeah, and it just wasn't really working, but I was trying to get a band. I just couldn't quite find the right people. And then obviously when Jake and Barney joined, that's when it was a band. Obviously Barney's left, got Charlie in now. But no, I was seeking out a band, but it took me a bit of time to get there. So it was kind of just me making demos and stuff and putting them out on the internet for quite a while. But,
was it, I mean, so this is what, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
We're obviously in 2025 now, if people are listening to this at a later time. Was it easy or harder than you thought? Getting your ideas and going, right, these are the people I'm going to do it with?
No, it was definitely difficult. I mean, it was very easy when you find the right people. I mean, me and Jake have been best friends for a long time. We were friends at school and we were always writing together, but he was in bands, he went off to uni and that kind of thing. But when I knew Jake was going to join, and that was perfect, and Barney was an amazing drummer and it kind of gelled. Same as Charlie now. But it was hard trying to find the right people. But I think maybe that's because I was, ironically, considering how some of the songs I was putting out were, I was kind of a perfectionist to try and find the people.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, well, yeah. To try and find the right people, but kind of a bit of a both. I know that's a bit of a politician's answer, but
no.
It was difficult, but it was also, once you find the right people, you kind of know that it's going to
just
gel.
clicks.
Yeah.
We can be diplomatic around here. It's all good.
That's all good stuff.
Before False Heads, were you in a few bands before?
Yeah. I was in a few bands before, and like I said, False Heads was always kind of me knocking about. But I wouldn't say it was a band really. Yeah. It was just, I had this name and I liked it, and I didn't really want to be called like Luke Griffiths and the fucking whatever.
Do you reckon you'd be like an acoustic artist now?
Yeah, I could be like Johnny Cash or something now. But no, I was in other bands, and that was a good experience as well. There was another band I was in that it was a band called The Milk at the time that I think are from Essex. We went and recorded an EP with them, and I really enjoyed that experience as well. But when False Heads first kind of started taking off, because once Jake and Barney joined, once it became a band, things did start happening for us quite quickly. So that was like, well, this is the path now.
Yeah, tell me about, what were those first moments like when it all just started to kind of gel out of nowhere, but so planned, I guess, as well? Yeah,
so Jake and Barney joined. We did some demos at a place near Brighton. I think it was Worthing. And I remember because Raw Blood had just started to take off and they were doing their demos there. And we put these demos out, and then we started talking to Gary Powell from the Libertines, and he put out our first ever single and EP.
Because he owned his own label, right?
He owned his own label, and that's kind of what, that was the first kind of jolt into, like this is, it was a bit more serious than
Here
it
we
had
go.
been before. Yeah, basically. Obviously, we supported the Libertines around that time as well. So that was the first time it was, oh, okay, well, it's kind of serious now.
And building up the music catalogue, I guess, it all just sort of started to click into place. You start to get maybe the recognition you deserve of your ideas, all those like years before on your own. How quick was all of that? Because bands, it's like music's a funny thing, as you'll know, like you'll spend years sort of working on these things, and then within like a month, whether it's like radio play, whether it's something hitting in terms of gigs, and then one gig gets booked to another, like it can just all happen so quick.
Well, it's kind of mad because at the time it feels like a long time, but I look back now and we were so young when that happened. I was 20, 21, whatever it was. So it was like, at the time, it seemed like, oh, I've been doing this since I was 15, but I mean, what the fuck was I doing at 15?
What were you doing?
Yeah, there's nothing. Fuck all. Like, just, writing songs, but it's not like I was, down the mines or whatever, was I? I was at school and whatever. But at the time, it felt like, I mean, I was working hard. I was always writing music. I was always doing that. But actually, when you get a bit older, it's not that, the periods of time aren't that long. But I think that's a good thing that you feel that way, because you're always trying to claw every little opportunity that you get.
Yeah.
Between about 4 years really, but from that till we put out our first album. But it felt like 10. Do you know what I mean? It felt like a decade. But we were doing things all the time. We was always writing. We were always working full-time jobs. None of us had, none of us were from families that had loads of money or anything. So we were always working full-time jobs. So it did feel probably longer than it was. But yeah, probably between that and 4 or 5 years is when we put out our first proper album. Yeah.
So is it like you came out of uni and then you jumped into that label?
Virtually happened.
And for like lots of bands listening now, or right in this social media age where things happen even faster than maybe they did back then, like how much should someone like, maybe there's other people like yourself out there, like a brainchild of a band in their head, and they're chasing that maybe goal of like, right, if we get signed, that classic thing of getting onto a label, like, there's a big treasure chest waiting at the end? Or would you encourage people to think a bit differently and maybe hold their horses a bit? I mean, obviously for you maybe felt like it was a great opportunity to jump on.
Yeah, good question. Actually, as well, one thing I would say on that thing of that time period, one thing that I did set myself, which I do think is a good thing for smaller bands, is I literally made myself for an hour to 2 hours a day send emails out every single day. And that was probably because I grew up with, like, my dad was a fucking window salesman, so
it's ingrained.
Yeah, it's ingrained. But I knew that it wasn't. I knew I was writing good songs by that point, especially when we did those first demos. But I knew that, like, I literally did every day. I was like, I set an alarm and I was like, I'm doing an hour of emails. So that was one thing. But on the second thing about the label, yeah, no, we probably jumped into that because we felt like it was such a good opportunity, and it was Gary Powell and it was the Libertines. Didn't quite work out. There were some problems with that. We didn't have a lawyer, and I remember around that time we met Danny Fields, who saw us in Camden. Obviously, Danny Fields is like this legendary
from Ramones.
The Ramones, managed the Ramones, managed Iggy Pop. We played to probably literally 3 people, him being one of them, in Camden, because he'd just done this interview at Soho Radio, and the presenter knew False Heads and says, "You love this band, come and see him tonight." And he kept saying to me, get a lawyer before you sign this contract. And I was like, oh, fuck that, I don't need a lawyer. So yeah, no, I would, yeah, some bands, I get it. We had to take, I felt like we had to jump into that because I was like, holy fuck, it's a record label. I mean, we've never been offered that
It's
before.
what you dream of.
It's what you dream of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can afford to maybe take a bit of time. Even if you know someone who kind of, not necessarily a music lawyer, obviously if you can afford that, that'd be great. But even if you know someone knows a little bit about law, or even just fucking chuck it in ChatGPT or something now. But take a bit of time. Yeah, no, exactly. But it'll give you a breakdown, like in layman's terms of, so yeah, a little bit of both really. It's difficult.
What was the gut instinct? Because as creatives, and as you said before, as perfectionists, there might be like one tiny riff or how you've played a certain note a certain way. I don't know how like close you get in the detail, probably that close. What was it in your gut that was like, I know I'm making good music? Because there'll be, again, loads of people listening that maybe are trying to do their own music where they're just, maybe they're, in that individual journey that you were in and thinking, oh, I don't think I'm quite there yet. And actually, like, it's maybe the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah. And that's a good question, because there was the early demos, even though I was just kind of putting them out on like SoundCloud and stuff, I kind of knew some of them were shit. But I just kind of felt like, well, I'll chuck it out. We'll see what happens, whatever. When I started to write some stuff that I knew was good, it's hard to I just kind of knew it was good.
Yeah.
I just knew it was better than the stuff that I'd written before. And I remember there was a song called Fool Around. I was on the first album, and I probably wrote that last year of uni and did this really rough demo of it. And my mum, who had like never paid any attention, not in a horrible way, I was at uni and she just wanted probably me to go and get a normal job. She was like, no, that song's really good.
Yeah.
But it was like a weird thing. I knew it was good, but when my mum, who wasn't really not necessarily into that kind of music either, was like, "Oh, that's good."
Hold up.
Yeah, and a few people were like, "Oh, that's good." You could, yeah. You just kind of know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I kind of knew that stuff was shit as well. So
You need those moments, though,
You need those
from people that
moments,
aren't in that world, I guess, to like, oh, they've picked up on something. So let me pick back up on Danny, if I can. How involved from that moment he saw you at that gig of 3 people and him being one was he in those next 2-3 years, and even just like the recognition from him, maybe I don't know, the advice he was maybe giving you first off, like how pivotal was that?
Oh yeah, no, it was hugely pivotal for us. I mean, one, I definitely wish I'd have taken his advice on the lawyer stuff. I mean, we couldn't have afforded a lawyer at the time, but I do kind of wish that he might have even sorted us out one if I'd have asked him. But at that point, like I said, I was like 21, so I was like, fuck this. But he was great. Yeah, I mean, he was like a mentor in the early days. I mean, obviously, he hadn't been actively involved in the music industry probably since the 90s. I think that was the last time that he worked for a label or was managing a band. But yeah, I mean, he basically sent it to everyone that he was still in contact with. Obviously, Iggy Pop being one of them, and Iggy started playing us on his radio show a lot. And I think he gave an interview in the newspaper saying that we were one of his new favourite bands. And
it's all right, isn't it?
yeah, it was great. It was very good. And stuff like that was very handy then, because then all of a sudden we had like a bit of a press release to start, you know, it sort of
put yourself out there.
Put us out there, and it gave the people at Gary's label at the time a bit more to like put on a press release, because we were basically a brand new band. I mean, we hadn't done anything. He was just always there. I mean, I still talk to him now. He's always been a mentor. He's always given me good advice. Yeah, no, I love him very dearly. It was a blessing meeting him, really. He's always been, and he's been through it. He knows how brutal the music industry is, and it is fucking brutal. And yeah, if I'm like, need someone to rant to, I'll drop him a text, and he's great. He's been brilliant for us, yeah.
Does he tell you stories or like comparative like things about, you know, the Ramones and other experiences? And you just listen, you just sit back and you're like, oh my God, what? So
he used to spend 6 months here. He hasn't been back over for a while, and it was in Berwick Street, most famous, I think, for the Oasis thingy. So we just go to his flat, go for a few drinks, and he would just fucking show us interviews about like him interviewing like Leonard Cohen in, you know, like the
no biggie
Chelsea Hotel. Tell us about the time he was like hid all of Jim Morrison's drugs, and it's just like Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, like he would, but not in a. I mean, because it was his life. It wasn't like, you know,
it wasn't an ego thing.
No, it wasn't an ego thing. That was his life. That was his thing. I mean, he actually broke the Beatles story, the one about you know, being bigger than Jesus. That was him. He was a journalist that broke that story. So yeah, it's hard to like hold court when Danny's about, to be honest, because his stories are just fucking insane.
Catches you off guard.
Yeah.
So again, like bands or whoever might be listening to that, and I think it's like, from my point of view, trying to engineer those moments. One, it's almost impossible, but two, it's like you say, if you can get any kind of someone like that in your corner, obviously it's really great, and helps with the next steps of a band or the next gig or whatever. But to someone maybe hearing that and having the similar thoughts I just had, like, don't force it. Maybe try and be smart about being in places where people might be. I mean, I guess the beauty in all those moments, though, equally, is that they're very organic and they just happen.
I think because we were kind of getting big not getting big, but we were kind of like we were.
Don't put yourself down.
Oh no,
Come
no,
on.
but okay, that stuff was
happening.
It was happening. That stuff was happening for us, kind of just before you had this big boom of like TikTok and stuff like that. I think that's obviously very, very helpful for bands. I mean, even if there's no effort, I make sure I just post something on TikTok and then put my phone down. I think it's important, but I do think that's maybe lulled people into a bit of a sense of like, I know a lot of bands that have blown up on TikTok, but then nothing else happened.
Right.
And then they're like, well, we did the thing, we got a viral.
Sort of following up with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of the times as well, that is built into a label strategy and stuff like that. I mean, people also forget that you could put money behind TikTok ads and stuff like that. Like a lot of the times you go viral, a lot of it is the labels putting money behind it, the ads. So I would say I think you'd still very helpful to go back to basics. Like I said, I was sending out emails, I was doing stuff like that. When Danny saw us, I know we'd kind of just been signed, but we were playing every gig that we possibly could at that point. So we didn't have an agent then. So even though we had signed to that record label, I was still emailing agents. I was trying to get Gary, and there was a manager at the label to try and send out emails. So I was still working. I think you just basically have to, at no point really rest on your laurels in some way. So it's not really forcing it, but the organic moments will happen if you're working.
Make your own luck.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I think.
So supporting opportunities like the Libertines. I know you've worked with Frank Turner on some of your music. You supported him as well. Josh Homme. And how much do you cherish all of these moments? How much do they carry through to now? Because they'll be etched with you, I'm sure, forever, and like you'll never forget them. But equally, like you say, it's like moving on to the next thing. You've got to be keeping it up, consistent, and those big moments sort of are big for so long. Yeah,
and also as well, like they don't always go how you think that they will. Some do. I mean, like Queens of the Stone Age in Croatia was probably one of the best gigs we ever played. I think we like rose to the occasion. Same as Josh Homme in London, where we supported him solo for A Peaceful Noise. That was great. But the Libertines one was interesting because that was our first big support slot. It's like, fuck me, it's like the Libertines. Loved the Libertines as a teenager, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the crowd just didn't give a fuck.
Really?
Oh
wow.
Because I
guess it's so hit and miss, right?
It's very hit and miss. Yeah. And when you're first on for those kind of things, and it was an amazing experience. Like my point is that you can't build these things up like they're gonna be the thing that, because there's not really a thing that makes it like that. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like we played, there was people scattered around in a big venue, and it was like, where the fuck is Pete? So that was kind of...
And you were playing obviously like false heads do, like, you know, I mean...
Very energetic.
You're not leaving to any interpretation.
No, exactly. No, I'm rolling around on the floor, I'm trying to get in the crowd and all that kind of stuff, and it's just... But it's an amazing experience. That was the first time we supported a you know, probably one of the biggest British bands in the last sort of 20 years. But yeah, you know, in your head, it's like, oh, this is it, Libertines, blah, 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 blah. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. Yeah. So I just think you have to be prepared for that, and you have to sort of take stuff on the chin. But then, like I said, when we did In Music, and basically we got bumped up because Frank Carter had a car accident. It wasn't bad or anything, but he couldn't make the gig.
Right.
So it was us, David Byrne, and Queens of the Stone Age. So we got bumped up the bill. And they were like, oh, you got to play an hour. And I was like, well, we don't have an hour.
Did you chuck a couple of covers in there? Right?
No, it was literally as lame as I wrote in the set list, like light cigarette and waste 2 minutes. Because it was just like whatever. And but that was amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, that felt like something.
Did your strategy work, by the way? Did it work?
It wasted 2 minutes, yeah. I was the slowest cigarette I've ever smoked in my life. So yeah, it's a crapshoot a lot of the time. You just got to try and put yourself out there, so you're kind of in those situations.
Yeah, you're ruining the secrets now.
Yeah, well,
of your gigs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I did that.
That's why he did that. Yeah, that only happened once. Though. That's not a
just putting out as a little caveat. We're clipping that one up, man. I know for you, we were talking about before we started. Like we talk about the C word moment for a few years, the COVID time. And for so many bands and artists, like it was so huge, not just for the moment, but obviously the lag afterwards and getting back to, I guess, where we're trying to get back to even now, no matter how much we like it or hate it. And I read for you, like, you know, it nearly tore you apart, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like you were ready to go and then, gosh,
yeah, we nearly we probably nearly called it a day a few times in that period because it was just brutal. I mean, we'd signed to we got a new record deal after that kind of. We partied with Gary because it just wasn't working out with Gary's label, and did the album. It was like everything we've worked towards, and then we put it out. We was going to South by Southwest, all of our touring, all of our festivals, all that kind of stuff. I had like loads lined up that year, and then put it out on the Friday. Then on the Monday, literally the whole world had shut down. South by Southwest got cancelled. New York got cancelled because we was playing in New York as well.
Man,
and it was just brutal. So
Yeah.
I was just like, oh fuck me, this was just. But then Rabbit Hole, that's what I said. Rabbit Hole started to do well, which was just weird. And then we couldn't talk, but we couldn't tour it. So
Yeah.
it was just like we were just getting like.
And everyone was figuring out at the time, weren't they? Like in that 2-3 weeks, month, whatever. Like, how do we do this then?
Yeah, which is what we was. I mean, we did some of the live streams and stuff to try and capitalize on it, but we didn't tour the first album until, I think it was about 18 months after it came out. Because we literally released the weekend of the lockdown is when the album come out, which is just ridiculous. So, it was tough. I mean, it was tough in general because then we were booking tours, then some tours got cancelled. Like we was meant to go over to Ireland because it was like, as we said, it was like, this was like, oh, it was okay now. And then, oh no, it's not. It's been, there's a lockdown again or there's a tier system. So to be honest, it probably affected both of our first two albums in a way because we recorded the second one when we were available to, when there were like little breaks in the thing with Frank Turner.
Yeah.
But even one of those tours, there was a semi-lockdown because there was a tier system.
Yeah,
so,
what's going on? As you mentioned him, what was it like to work with Frank? Because he's so great at always supporting like people coming up and doing a thing, trying to make their mark and, use his platform, pay it back, pay it forward. What was it like?
It was a different experience from working with other producers, I suppose, because he's a songwriter. So it was a different experience than working from a producer. He come at it from more of a songwriter standpoint, which I think was really handy because there was some cool parts that we kind of worked it out in the studio where he might have had kind of an idea, like I said, from a different perspective. And we did it in his house. Oh, wow. Because he had the studio at the back of his house.
So like fully kitted out, is it?
Yeah, fully kitted out. So he had like in the back of his garden, he built a studio. It was a really nice little studio. So yeah, it was kind of weird just recording in like Frank Turner's house. And then we stayed around the corner. It was by the beach. It was in Mersey, so
nice. You're not quite an Aussie Island then yet, where we hear a lot of other pop stars go.
No.
Just had to say hello to Rihanna as you walk past.
No, exactly. No, just Mersey. Good fish and chips there, though. It was a different experience. It was good though. I think it's good to try and get as many different experiences when you're writing and recording as possible as well. So,
had you been missing out on that kind of dynamic as a band? Maybe, I don't know whether you. Feel free to disagree with me here. Like you maybe felt like you could write more melodically, or you could write in different like time signatures. I know you mess about with time signatures all the time and like really just throw the kitchen sink at it, but different ways, different concepts.
Kind of. I mean, because I had nothing to do because it was COVID. I just basically wrote as many parts as possible. So one thing about that record that I do think actually suffered a little bit the second album was I did kind of write vocal parts for like every part. I don't think there's like loads of space in that album as much sort of thing. But that was because I had nothing to do. So my plan was just like, well, I'll just write as many different vocal melodies as possible.
And then I've got it for needed.
And then I've got it sorted, yeah. So maybe it suffered a bit there. But Frank was helpful for that. But then at the same time, the songs were written because that was probably... Like I said, because it was COVID. I mean, I wasn't working. I was self-employed. So I was on the dole for the first 3 months of it anyway. So I was just like, well, I'll just write loads of songs and write loads of vocal melodies. So yeah, a bit of a weird one that, but yeah.
Again, take the opportunities, I guess, when
exactly. Yeah.
Coming your way. So coming out the other side of all of that, you've got obviously a new album on the way that you've said you've referenced a few times is getting the masters together and the EP's gonna all come together and that kind of thing. You kind of reborn this new chapter this year for False Heads, back out touring when you when you hit that sweet spot again, like how good does it feel that, you know, things are starting to align up?
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say it's definitely a kind of rebirth. Like I said, Charlie joined, and then I basically kind of wanted to, because COVID did really derail a lot of everything on our first 2 records. I was just like, well, look, you know, what the fuck's another year? I might as well try and get this right. So we've changed some of our team around in the background. Some stuff we'll be announcing soon, which I'm not allowed to announce yet. But took the time to, I think, to get this record right. We've worked with an amazing producer, a guy called Adrian Bushby, who, he's worked with like Foo Fighters and Muse. He's amazing and has been a level up. So done the right thing, And sometimes it you know, it takes that, because it's tough. I found it tough when you work so hard and you've been working at it for so long and you're not at the bottom anymore, but you're not, you know, we're not selling out arenas or anything like that. So you're sort of in that kind of middle ground. Sometimes it's like, can we afford to take a year off? Not a year off, but can we afford to not be touring all the time and all that kind of stuff?
Taking stock.
Because after COVID, I think we toured the UK about 5 times in about 2 years. Do you know what I mean? Like long tours.
Bet you were tired.
Well. Knackered. So I think that was a bit overkill. Do you know what I mean? But we were trying to like cram it in. So I think we've done the right thing. I think we've taken about a year to write and record this album, so it's proper. Worked with a producer that is kind of that step above. And yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a rebirth, definitely, 100%.
How, when you work with someone like Adrian, how hard is it to give a lot of the creative process over? Well, obviously you trust them 100%, but when you're in that process, how does that all work? Because again, like, lots of music fans hear about mastering or this kind of thing. What, obviously it's probably different for every band, but on the general rule of thumb, like, what is that whole process like?
Well, Adrian, like, not just saying it because I'm waiting for the final mixes and I don't want to piss him off. He's like just a fucking geezer, man. We spoke to him. He was a fan of the first record. He wanted to do the second record. That was all like Frank Turner wanted to do it, so yeah, we're going to do that. And he was busy, so it didn't quite work out. And then he said, look, I'd like to do their third record whenever they're going to do it. And we had a Zoom call with him and got on well with him, and went and we actually did this album because he's really busy. We're still working full-time jobs. We've actually done it in 3 sessions, this album. And he come to the rehearsal studio and this was fucking amazing. We played Cracked and he threw the notepad at my head. And it like, I was like, was that shit? He was like, no, that was amazing. Sorry, I didn't make notes. I was so excited. I was like, well, can you next time like aim for the wall, maybe, not my fucking skull. But so that passion is very, very contagious. And no, he's cool, man. Like he's got his own idea of what he wants it to sound like. But we went in all 3 sessions and smashed it out. He had his own idea. He said, no, I would tweak that. I would do that. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm sure it depends on the band and the producer if they clash or not, but it's a pretty seamless process. He had ideas that I was like, that sounds great. And then there were ideas that I sort of won him over to. And but what's cool about working with someone like that, I could tell when we got the first mixes back of the first batch, he had a very specific idea of what he thought it should sound like, which might not necessarily have been exactly what I had in mind originally. But it worked so well that I was like, no, let him run with it.
Cook.
Yeah, let him cook. Yeah. And yeah, it worked out. But it's different. I think it is a bit of a different experience when you work with a producer at that level, because they kind of just know exactly what to do, which is cool.
Scary.
So that's their art form, isn't it? So yeah.
People fighting over you.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
And I can imagine a band like yours. You just mentioned about how you got a notepad thrown at your head. In jest, obviously, it's all for fun, good, positive things. Music like yours, the scene that you're in DIY punk, wild by its nature, it just goes off generally. Maybe recently now, the tours you did a couple of years back, like maybe the festivals abroad, like is the craziest thing you can remember from a gig or a festival that you played that you can tell us about, maybe?
Oh, what, while we were playing live?
Just generally, anything.
I think while we were playing live, probably the one that was kind of maybe the closest to like a bad injury was, I think it was at Nambucca years ago. I jumped, someone threw a glass on the stage. I jumped off the stack, so like the PA, onto the crowd, and then they threw me back on the stage, and the bottom of the glass hadn't fully smashed.
Right.
And I honestly missed it by,
Ugh.
I don't even know.
No.
It would have been bad fucking
I'm
news.
not good with that stuff.
And at that same gig, yes, all I remember is someone called an ambulance to someone in the hospital because they were covered in blood. So I don't really know what happened there either. So whatever happened at that Nambucca, I don't know whether they got their like booze spike with PCP or something, but that was chaos. Yeah, we've had a few gigs like that, to be honest, but just where the crowd's been mad.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but like, I can imagine there's lots of moments that are pretty dignified as well. You just like, you're doing your admin, like it's rock star life, but there's stuff that happens as well that's pretty normal.
But also gigs are like that as well. I think there is another thing which social media is not good for, where, I mean, we do it. I'm never going to put a gig up and be like, oh yeah, there was 50 people in a 400 cap venue. But, sometimes you go on talk, like we did a lot of, after COVID, like I said, as you say, there's a lot of admin, but after COVID, we made an effort to do a lot of like smaller towns. So we did like Stockton and Scunthorpe and places like that. Some of them gigs were half empty. Do you know what I mean? But we're not going to put that on social media and be like, so I think, and I know for a fact, especially now when I think since COVID, it's a big thing that everyone talks about, the amount of venues that are closing down. The amount of people that are struggling on tours. You see a lot of bands downgrading their venues that they're playing and stuff like that. It's a bit of a struggle. So, I don't think that's a bad thing to talk about. That is going to happen. Yeah. You will play gigs that you'll think will be amazing and it might not sell as well as you think it will, or the crowd won't be. I remember we sold Birmingham out on that tour. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. But it was 14 plus, and most of the crowd, which in its way is awesome, was like kids with their parents. But I thought it was going to go off and everyone was going to be moshing, but it wasn't like that.
It's just a different vibe.
It's just a different vibe, yeah. So I think, you have to kind of be prepared for. It's not all carnage and chaos. Like that, do you know what I mean? You
bring up the grassroots scene. Obviously, that's the whole reason why we're kind of doing this podcast and getting just the reality of all of this and how people come through and. It's helped them so much. What's it like for you right now? How do you feel about it from your point of view, to Grassroots? Yeah, I
feel like I've been speaking about this quite a bit, and kind of the class situation in the music industry a little bit as well is something that I've been speaking about. But it's difficult. I think there's a real problem in the music industry that I moan about it. I'm not even quite sure how we fully fix it, but I think a lot of people are getting poorer in general, and I think the arts is going to be always something that struggles first because I think people are not going to buy as many tickets. One of the big thing that's happening at the minute is people aren't buying tickets until the last week.
Not buying them in advance.
Not buying them in advance. That's a big problem. I'm not blaming anyone because I know at the minute, again, a lot of people are getting poorer and they can't make that decision. But obviously venues struggle because of that. And we're seeing it every week. Another iconic venue closed down. I think the one that shocked me the most was the Lead Mill recently.
Yeah, in Sheffield.
And I think from the outside, maybe people don't fully quite understand that how brutal it is, but it is tough at the minute. And I suppose that's because you've got the big, stadium bands and artists that seem to be doing really well, but a lot of bands and artists under that big level are struggling. I mean, like I said, you see a lot of bands downgrading their venues or cancelling tours or blah blah blah, can't go over to Europe because they can't afford it. It's tough. It's tough at the minute. Not sure what the solution. Well, it's more funding. Yeah. But the government's got no fucking money in a minute because they're in loads of debt. So I don't know. I mean, it's sad because I think, like I said about the class thing as well, I think one of the things that is happening, and I think music is becoming less accessible to normal people, to kind of working class, lower middle class bands.
You mean in what's being written, or the ways we're listening to it? Also enjoying gigs.
I think kind of all of it. I think being in and amongst it and making a living is a lot more difficult, and I think that fundamentally does come down to streaming. I mean, this is a big buzzword at the minute about nepo kids, but I don't think there's some like nefarious group of like nepo kids that are like plotting stuff to make sure no one from non-private school can fucking survive. I think what's happening is because it's very, very difficult at the minute for bands from lower income, normal backgrounds to get any money behind them to move forward. Or I mean, I think people would be stunned the size of the bands that still work part-time jobs. And I think something has to change. Otherwise, I do think it's going to become, I think inaccessible to a lot of people to do it. And I do think that will also cause a lot more venues to close down. Yeah. Because I think people are struggling to go to gigs. I think people are struggling to be in bands. And I hope it changes.
I think it was like last year, it was like 2 venues a week shutting down or something like that. And the trajectory obviously is not great in that sense. But and like how much of these venues like given you, like if you've played in, these even smaller venues you were talking about before? Like
everything. I mean, everything. Like, iconic venues that you want to play. I remember when we sold out the Windmill. I mean, the Windmill's obviously still going, but Windmill's such an iconic venue in Brixton. That was like such a cool moment to do that finally. Obviously, it's a small venue, but they are the things that you check off. I think fucking like Gene Gallagher was the sound guy that night. Yeah. They're everything. I mean, if they close down, like I said, again, it's going to be bad for people that want to go and see local bands, but it's going to become even more inaccessible to bands from normaler backgrounds because there's going to be less venues for them to go and try out their music. They're not going to jump straight to fucking... The only people that can jump straight to the bigger venues are the people that are from money or have the fucking Nepo link or whatever. So I think it's all connected and it's all linked, yeah.
What is it about the people that maybe we don't know the exact method of how we're going to fix it, like you said at the moment, but what is it about the people that maybe can have some sway, can affect some change, that they don't know about that very like intangible thing you just described of, oh my God, I'm playing the Windmill? Like, what's the thing do you think that's missing from their understanding?
I don't know. I think, like I said, I think the bigger picture of it is when it comes to venues is that genuinely I think people are getting poorer and people are struggling more. I think that's, and it isn't really up to them to solve the problem of... Yeah,
it's bigger than them,
It's bigger than them, right? It's not really up to them to do it. If they do love music and they, do have a bit of spare money, buying tickets in advance would be really helpful, because that's such a big shift that's happened in 2 or 3 years. I think COVID started, but the drop-off of tickets being bought in advance for smaller bands is just astronomical.
Because then for a band like yourself, does that mean you can prepare better?
Exactly. Yeah, because you know when something's going to sell out, you know what that gig's going to be like. The reality of it is, if there's not enough advance tickets, promoters and venues will just pull the gig. It's up to the government. I mean, I know the Music Venue Trust have been doing a lot of good work to try and raise awareness of just about how dire the situation is.
They've been mentioned in every episode that we've done, so...
Yeah, there you go. No, exactly. Well, they're great. I mean, they're basically like an activist group, really, aren't they? And they are... I mean, to me, art and music is everything. I don't know what I'd be doing without music. So I think they're great. And I think if more people can look into what they're doing, and I know there's an initiative at the minute that they're trying to do with, is it getting £1?
Well, yeah, how do you feel about the £1 levy from the bigger shows? I mean, Coldplay have been a big band or people to start that off. Other people are following suit as well. I mean, is it Royal Otis are doing a £1 show or something like that we mentioned in the last episode?
Yeah. So is that where the pound goes down to the... Yeah. I mean, if it's good enough for the FA, I'm sure it's good enough for... I think it's a good idea. I mean, at the end of the day, what is the other solution? Because it's not like this is like, it's being theorised, it's happening, all the venues are closing down, so something obviously has to happen. Yeah. I don't think Coldplay are going to miss that £1, and it's going to make a massive difference to the smaller venues. So I think it's necessary. And yeah, no, I'd like to see more things like that happen, really. I kind of can't really see a world... If things like that don't happen, where more, like you say, the trajectory of venues closing down is just going up and up. So
yeah, no, speaking a lot of facts. Finally, what do you? Maybe this again could be personal or a false heads thing. You're coming out on this new chapter now with the band, and you feel like you're hitting your stride a little bit, which is obviously great to hear. What do you want to do in music that you haven't done yet? Are the goals different now to what they were when you maybe jumped on the first record deal and things like that?
To be honest, not really. I mean, obviously, I'd love to live in a world where I don't have to work a job. But like I said, I think people would be shocked at the amount of bands where they have members that are working jobs. So I know that's just with streaming, it's very, very difficult. Like I said, I was talking about millions of streams. I mean, I think when Rabbit Hole hit 1 million, after our label had recouped and stuff, I took about 400 quid for that. Do you know what I mean?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so I think
between all of you as well, right?
Yeah. So I think we all took, when we got our royalty statement through, I'm kind of like generalizing the process, but all in all, for about 1 million streams, after there was recoupment and stuff like that from the people that were involved, I took about 400 quid when that hit a bit. So it's bad, but I just want to keep putting out good music, and I think we are also lucky. We do have a fan base in the UK. We have a fan base in Europe. We can go and tour Europe, and we can sell tickets to clubs, and European crowds are amazing. They treat you really well. Not really. I just want to keep putting out good music if I can. It's kind of something that I feel like I've always been compelled to do, and not. I'm not sure that. Well, I hope it doesn't die. Yeah. So just keep putting out good music. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. And when I look at it, when I was 14, if you'd have said, oh, by the way, in 10 years you've been played on like Radio 1, Radio X, supported these bands, done that. Sometimes you have to take stock and enjoy the journey, which is hard to do because you're always chasing that next thing of like, it's got to do this, got to do that. But yeah, I just want to keep putting out good music.
You mentioned fans. Anything you want to say? I mean, they might be seeing this, listen to this right now.
Give us a couple of months and you'll have some good news coming your way, is what I would say.
Hold tight.
Yeah, hold tight. But close to announcing some new music for you guys, yeah.
Cryptic as ever, and we love it. Luke, thanks so much for being here today, man. It's been a great chat.
Thanks very much for having me, man. Thank you.